Call to order the special board meeting of May 17th, 2021 at 6 p.m. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Deputy Clerk Nyza, please call the roll.
Trustee Anderson.
Here.
Trustee Joseph.
Here.
Supervisor Acciavatti.
Here.
Treasurer Elliott.
Here.
Trustee Vosper.
Here.
Trustee Demink.
Here.
Without, as long as there's no objection, a motion to excuse Clerk Berry, along with refraining from calling Clerk Berry's name for record roll call votes.
Mr. Supervisor, do we know where she is?
Only thing I know is she is not here.
Okay, that's 2 in a row. Yeah. Okay.
Item 5 is the agenda. Item 5A, 2021 Sidewalk Replacement Program Public Hearing of Necessity. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing of necessity?
So moved.
Motion by Trustee
Support.
Joseph, support by Trustee Demink to open the public hearing. Deputy Clerk Nyza, please call the roll.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Demink.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Supervisor Acciavatti.
Aye.
Treasurer Elliott.
Aye.
Trustee Vosper.
Aye.
Trustee Demink.
Aye.
The public hearing is open. We will begin with a presentation from, I'll be turning it over to Jeremy with Spalding DeDecker. Yeah, I probably should have voiced.
All right, thank you. Just a little bit of a background. This is for the 2021 Sidewalk Replacement Program for Chesterfield Township. Some history on this. The township has an ordinance that I think was revised in 2007, but has been around since, I believe, the 70s, that requires the replacement of defective sidewalks in front of homeowners by the homeowner themselves. In an effort to make this more economical and more palpable for the homeowners, the township has put together a program for the sidewalk replacement. They've gone through and developed a criteria for what are the ratings. We've rated each of the potential defects from 1 to 5. Anything that is a 2 or above is a defect by ADA standards. The township then has the option, depending on the volume of sidewalks out there, and to choose between which to replace in any given year. The letters that were sent out to all of the property owners here were both number 4s and number 5s. From there, we collected data for every one of these houses, and we put together a GIS map. The GIS map goes through and breaks the township down into 6 different zones. So we're attacking zone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 on consecutive years. So year 1 is zone 1, which is the southwest corner of the township. Once we determine the zone, we go in and we inspect every sidewalk flag within that zone, and we rank those sidewalk defects based on the criteria developed within the program guide. From there, this data is brought back into GIS, where we maintain a geolocation database of every sidewalk flag and what the defects were. For example, this parcel, you can pull up and identify lips between slabs is rated a number 5, which is a 1-inch or more lip. Cracking in slab, cross slope, longitudinal, etc. From here, we also link a picture to each one of these, and we provide these pictures back to the property owner upon request. In this picture, the defective slab is the one with the yellow circle in the middle. From there, like I mentioned, this is a public hearing. This is a notice of finding of necessity to replace these sidewalk flags based on the criteria labeled. This is in an attempt to maintain the health, safety, and welfare of the township, as well as help limit liability. I think the township attorney can probably fill you in on many examples of sidewalk trip and falls that end up in a lawsuit, and this is in an attempt to help the public, number one, handle these, get an economy of scale by packaging a lot of properties together. The larger the volume of the program, the cheaper it is per square foot. From there, we took the total volume of both the number 4s and 5s. We bid those out to, I believe there were 5 contractors who bid on it. And right now, we're recommending the award to Delta Industrial Group, who was the lowest bid. And from there, go to public comment.
Back up to me, maybe. I'll give just a quick statement of how we got here and the why now. Every municipality in the state of Michigan must have a replacement program for a mature, if you're a mature community like ours. Our program has not been in existence since 2005, and due to the liability issues to both the homeowner and the township, a program must exist. The process to get us here included looking at a bunch of different ways to do this. Could the township afford to fund this program? That was looked at. We looked at various vendors and other municipalities, how they have handled this, every municipality surrounding us. The decision was made on October 27th of last year to select Spalding DeDecker as our partner to provide the GIS model and map exactly which level 4s and level 5s are there, which are the most problematic pieces. Also, we broke the township into 6 categories because of the 16 years since there's been any defined program in our township. It was too massive of scale to try to tackle the entire township at once. March 9th, the board action again of this year to go out for bids. We did receive the bids and we had discussion on April the 27th. And tonight, we will be having the required public hearing, after which we will be determining 2 things. If there's board support to move forward with the program, and to what level. The level that I am recommending is to move forward with level 5s only. Those are obvious, thick ones. So immediately, half of the folks who got notices will fall off the list. Now that in 6 years, we're going to be back around. Also, the resolution, that'll be action number 1. And included in action number 1 is going to be to adopt the resolution, which essentially allows this program to go forward. It allows 2 ways to pay for it. 1, through write the check right now, and 2 is on your taxes over 5 years, and the number in there is at a 0% interest rate, which I think is reasonable. Another thing that should be cleared up is that any slab that has a manhole structure, either storm, water main, or sanitary sewer, will not be paid for by the homeowner. And if you have one of those slabs that are included in this program, there is nothing that will need to be done. That will be caught in the field and paid for by the appropriate township fund. For sanitary and water main, that will be our water and sewer fund. And for storm sewer, that will be our general fund. After that item, the next item is going to be to award the contract. And what's recommended by our engineering department is to Delta Concrete. I will open it up to public hearing. If you could, the podium's right back there, state your name and address for the record. And I don't know if we ended up with cards to document the speakers, but state your name and address to the record and limit your comments to 5 minutes. And I would like to start, if I could, with folks that actually got the notice and that are in Zone 1, so I can get through the entire process. So, any public comments? This is a public hearing. Up to the podium, if you could. And I think the there's a little button right in the middle that you can press, and red means go. Oh, there's cards on the table for your name and address, and we also have our engineering department and Ellen Clark with Treasury Department that if you're looking at your specific address and you don't want it public, the information, you can go right over to those folks and they will give you, your only level 4s or your only level 5s and what the number will be. Up in line and up over there. No, your decision. Thank you. Yes.
Hello. My name is Linda Clinton. My address is 47799 Farmbrook Court. And I received the notification from the township, and I asked for the pictures. And one of the flags that's being assessed to me is not on my property. I spoke with Mitch, and he was very helpful, but was unable to actually give me an affirmative answer. I have the plot that's from the township that certifies where, the actual property line, and showing the pictures that you sent me that this flag is not on my property. I emailed communication, as per requested, and tried to come in face to face, and I've gotten no clear satisfaction that this particular flag is not part of my responsibility. So I would like some guidance on what to do.
We could do this one of two ways. We can either put it up here for the world to see, or you can go right over here to Jeremy and Mitch sitting down, and they'll get you.
Okay,
get you the
perfect. Thank
information.
you so much.
Thank you. You're welcome. Oh, turn it on again. Hit it one more time. You're hot.
There we go. My name is Dwayne Henderson. I live at 48526 Kelly Lee Lane, Chesterfield, Michigan. I also received a letter. And first of all, I would like to thank the board for hiring Spalding. The civil engineers that you have, I've worked with them in the past. Great engineers, so they did an excellent job. So I want to commend the board for making that decision to move forward. As I went through the reports, there's a couple things that I'm actually questioning. You have a note that was in the letter that says the township reserves the right to increase or decrease the quantities as they see fit. Could you elaborate a little bit more and explain what you mean as you see fit? Because I would hope that the engineering firm would be watching over the contractor that's awarded the project to make sure that they're doing it in a comprehensive way so they're not damaging more sidewalk that needs to be replaced. And I'm all about the sidewalks getting replaced for the children and the safety of everybody. So I want to make sure that we understand what that is. I'm sorry, I'll move up a little closer. I appreciate you looking at the manhole situation and evaluating those in the field, because there was several on my property that actually had manholes. And the township actually, when they cleaned them out 2 years ago, they cracked it. And I've been in touch with them and it hasn't been replaced. So thank you very much for that. That's the first two things. The other thing that I want to know is, you mentioned that there's a couple different solutions to fix the scenarios. You mentioned that you can actually replace it, you can fix it yourself, but also you talked about mud jacking at the end as another scenario. When we're going to look at the award from Delta, did you get prices from mud jacking for those as well? And that's a question you can answer later if you want, or now.
When you're complete, I'll have Jeremy answer all your questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Wayne.
Do you want me to answer it?
Yeah, the first one on the letter, as you see, the quantity issue, and then speak to the mud jacking.
Okay. The quantity issue is a catch-all statement that's talking about we inspect these sidewalks in the fall. we're not gonna construct them until the summer. So a lot of times these 4s and 5s are fluctuating all the time. That's why we throw that in there, is if we're only doing 5s and you had a 3/4 inch and it bumped up to an inch, we're gonna take it. That's why we say reserve the right. If the contractor breaks it due to contractor operations, the contractor's gonna pay for it. The second question?
It was mud jacking. We will not be replacing or repairing via mud jacking. However, if the homeowners prior can get the sidewalk safe enough to protect the homeowners in the township, that's an option that could be explored. I've got to take all the comments up there. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Hi.
Ready? Thank you. My name's Tammy Iafrady. My address is 26528 Fairwood Drive. I got your letter in the mail, but I'm a corner lot, and my lot line ends I have arborvitaes, and then it goes way down into a creek. So I take care of that area, cut it, fertilize it, the whole 9 yards. By that creek, there's 5 slabs that have grass growing through them, and I got the bill for it, and I don't own it. So I want to make sure that I don't have to pay. If not, then I would love to have a fence to go down there and have a big yard, but I do take care of the area, but I don't own it.
If you can get that, I would get with Mr. Jeremy and Jeremy and Mitch right here. Your property line is the key. So if there is a drain easement, and that is a separate parcel, and you will not be in that. So it's going to be your property line frontage. So I would check on that. And you mentioned something as well about corner lots. As we went through this process, one of the biggest dilemmas was ADA ramps at those intersections, and those could cost a tremendous amount of money. They are not included in this program. Those could be $5,000 to $10,000 per intersection. Those are a Macomb County Department of Roads responsibility. So I think if you get your address over to these gentlemen, they'll be able to help you out.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy.
Hello, my name is Laura Vandevrede, and I live at 45870 Dutchess Drive. I received your letter, and the slabs that you have from me, and I kind of figured that's what they might be, are slanted inward. When you said mud jacking, can you define what that means?
Mud jacking means you pump cement underneath it and lift up the
Okay,
flags.
so versus having to replace the whole slab. So if the slab looks like it's intact and nice, if you just do the corners that are coming in, that might repair it. Would it be cheaper than the estimate that was given to me?
It depends. They're generally pretty comparable. The one thing I will warn is that, there's also a slope criteria too for defect. So if it's already tilted and you have to lift it even more and now it's outside of the slope criteria, that you just want to pay attention to that with the contractor.
Okay, so when the contractor that you've hired, when they come out, will they discuss that individually with the homeowner? For example, me, to tell me that, or will they deal with you?
Yeah, our contractor will only do remove and replace. They're not going to do mud jacking because that's a separate company that's a specialty thing versus we're trying to get economy of scale for remove and replace.
Okay, so if I wanted to go ahead and look into that versus getting the replacement, that would be on me. And then at that point, I show you proof that this is the estimate, this is what I'm going forward with.
Yes, you just have to let us know by June 16th that you're going to do that, and then it has to be done by July 17th.
Okay, thank you, that's what I wanted to know.
Laura, if I could,
Yeah.
you are 45870 Dutchess?
Correct.
Okay, so you don't have level 5s. So you only have level 4s, and those will be optional if the agenda item is passed as submitted.
Okay, great. I know I have on my computer, I have the pictures, but on the letter, it didn't say what levels they were. Probably on those pictures.
Maybe confirm that over there.
I
There's
will.
going to be a lot of those.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. So there's, the letter that went out included level 5 defects, and those were the worst of the worst. The clear, anything over an inch, and Jeremy can go through the criteria. And it also included level 4s, which are bad. but they're not, they might not be a gap 3 inches, 2 inches, or 1 inch. And there's also sloping and scaling and all sorts of other different things that come into it. So the letter went out included both. But the recommendation that's in front of the board tonight is to have level 5s only, mandatory, check our box to have a program to protect us and the property owners, and have level 4s be optional for the property owner. So you could still replace those, but they're not going to be mandatory. So that's what that was about. So if your letter only included letter 4s, which half, and Jeremy probably has the exact, over half. Oh, go ahead one more time, Jeremy.
Yeah, the criteria is shown up here on the screen. These are the 5 different criteria: lip between slab, cracking in slab, cross slope, longitudinal slope, and then the surface of slab scaled, and each one of them has a ranking. So in the case of the lip, which is probably the most prevalent in the township, the number 4 is 3/4 of an inch, anything greater than 3/4 up to an inch, and then the number 5 is 1 inch or more of lip. And then you kind of go through every one of these, so cracking in slabs greater than 2, et cetera. And this is all from the township's administrative guide, which is posted online on the Sidewalks webpage.
Next public comment.
What was that?
Let's go, if you can walk right over there and talk to him, but, okay. Next public comment, please.
Hi, my name is Jody Sipple. I live at 27246 Karen Murray Drive. I received the letter from the township. At the present, mine is a level 4, but you're saying that could possibly even go to a 5?
So sidewalks will become, more defective over time. If it has cracking, water gets in those cracks, causes more cracks due to freeze thaw, et cetera. And same thing with lips. Those lips tend to continue to sink. So yeah, if it's not done now in, 5-6 years when we're back to zone 1, it probably will be a number 5 at that point.
Which brings me to another question. When you say you're going to do the 5s first, is that through the whole township or is that just in this small area?
We're only attacking zone 1 right now. We're going to go year by year, zone 1, then zone 2, then zone 3, et
So
cetera.
you're going to do the first area all from 5 to 1, all of them, and then go to the second area? Or are you just doing the 5s? That's what I'm
No, we're just doing the number, well, it's up to the township board vote at this point. Number 4s and number 5s were sent out on the letter.
Right.
But the recommendation was to only go to number 5s only in zone 1.
Okay, thank you. And when you said you got a bid from a Delta contract, is that the bid that we have in our paperwork?
No, the bid that you have in your paperwork is our engineer's estimate based on previous experience. The bids that we received are actually 60% of the number that we gave you. So they're much cheaper than what we originally sent out.
That's wonderful to hear. I
Yes.
bet everybody's gonna like that one. Because I know someone that would personally do 5 properties for less money than that bid was. I mean, 5 slabs.
Well, that wasn't a bid. And
Pardon me?
That wasn't a bid, it was an estimate before we got bids.
Oh, okay. Well, I just asked if Delta, how it compared, and that was good news. Another thing that I have is Detroit Concrete Leveling Company. If they do leveling, it's just as effective. It doesn't tear up your yard. You don't have to have anything jackhammered out. They're willing to make a bid to the township, it's a large company, to do the mud jacking part of this operation. And I can give you that number. I spoke to their supervisor today, just before the meeting.
Thank you.
Is that something you would consider?
Our program is a replacement program. However, like for your specific property, you're not part of this program if it's going to be passed as it's presented, unless you want to be. However, 6 years from now, your 4s may turn into 5s. So then, yes, that would be the time to mud jack them. But ours is a
No, my
ours is a
question to you is,
replacement.
why wouldn't the township do this? It's less evasive, it's just as effective, and it's less expensive. And here's a contractor that would take the township,
We'll
and
add
it's
it.
large enough to do that.
You could leave the card, we'll add it to the mix down the road. But this contract is a replacement contract. And Jeremy, if you could speak to other
Also, you
municipalities.
said
Yeah.
to me personally on the phone that the reason that we're going first, and that's understandable, is because we are the oldest part of the township?
Not necessarily. It's the, Jeremy, we had to, ideally, I wanted to do the entire township to
Sure.
reduce liability everywhere. And we're replacing those ones when we can, especially if there's sewer, water, or those type of related issues. We had to start someplace, and the team actually came up with that's.
Oh,
Zona's
okay, I
number
thought
one
maybe
for-
we were just the oldest.
And-
But the city of Royal Oak has had the same thing, and it has to do with the ADA, is it? And they even allowed homeowners to grind down the sidewalks in less than an inch to get them both level.
So in your instance, you got 6 years, because you're not involved with this program, to
If you
protect
change your
yourself and the
rules, then my
township.
letter says, yes, I'm not involved. Unless
That's correct.
my property changes before you get to my property.
That is not correct. You will not be a part of this program unless if you want to be. Well, thank you very much.
So you want me to step down? I'll do that.
No, you're
What-
welcome to stay.
Do you want me to answer the?
Okay,
Couple
I hope you
questions.
If you
put
would
it on
like.
record, though, this guy's willing to do this. It won't cut your grass up.
Yeah, we'll take a look at it. But we're not
It's a
just
good
dealing, we're not just dealing with lips between slabs. We have 5 other criteria, so there's a lot of other sidewalk flags. So we're trying to keep the economy of scale with one
And this
contractor.
would be more in the economics.
It would increase the price of the other slab removals if we took out all the lips between slabs, and it is still somewhat of a short-term fix. You're
Wait a
just,
minute, it would increase what?
it would decrease the quantity of sidewalk flags that the contractor has bid on,
Yes.
therefore increasing the unit price of the other 4 criteria.
But
That's
it
the
would be
reason.
economical for
that's
the whole
the-
township.
Thank you very much. Any further public comment?
How are you? Got it, okay. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, my name is Martin Bachniak, and I live at 48549 Carmine Court. I'm reading my letter, and I can't see if it's a 4 or a 5. Can somebody check?
Turn your microphone a little bit closer.
Sorry about that.
There you go.
Or I can hear myself. Okay.
Ellen, if you could get that to Ellen, she'll be able to tell you if it's 4 or 5.
And I also wanted to find out the names of the contractors, because we kind of wanted to replace our driveway anyway. And so if I can get some names, and if we can buy some, if we can get somebody that's a little bit cheaper, that would be nice too.
That would be, if you want to do additional concrete, that
if
would be
I
a
could-
private, hold on,
if-
that'd be a private arrangement between you and the contractor. The public piece of it
Right,
is going
right,
to be just those.
right. But if I could get the name of the contractor or contractors, so I could give them a call, and they could come over my house and give me an estimate on doing the driveway. Now, at this point, we're checking out if I'm at level 4 or 5. 4? Okay. So who do I talk to if I want to get the names of the?
We will know the name of the contractor, if there's a contractor, at the end of this meeting,
Oh, okay.
when we select them.
I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Any further public comment?
Sir, don't forget your phone. Is this yours, or is it hers?
Mike's on. My name's Albert Morovic. I live at 49401 Kimberly Ann. I don't know what level I am neither, but I'd like to see where they're seeing this defect, okay? I have a shrinkage crack on my sidewalk. It has been there for 30 years. There's no hazard. It's settled. It stays there. It will not move. I have 40 years of construction experience, plus I'm a home inspector. I would not write this up or recommend replacement for this. So I'd like to know, shrinkage cracks are part of the standard?
I can
This
tell
can
you,
happen at brand-new pours.
if passed as presented, yours is a level 4, your 1 slab, and it will not be included unless you choose to be included.
Right,
So
but this
if
issue is gonna come up again. So, what I'm trying to do is find out the information ahead of time, because level 4s are gonna be level 5 soon, or whatever. I mean, shrinkage cracks happen on brand-new pours.
Mr. Jeremy over there with Spalding DeDecker can help you out.
Absolutely, and that's why we have the criteria from 1 to 5. When you get above a 1/4 inch in width, it's not a
There is
shrinkage
nothing
crack.
out there like that.
Right, so it wouldn't be ranked a number 4 or 5. It could be one of the other criteria. It's when you get 2 or more and they're greater than a 1/4 inch in width, that's when we get into the letter that goes out.
Yeah, I don't even have that. I
Okay.
have a fine line drying crack, and it's been there for 30 years.
Okay. We can take a look at it over here and I can
Sure.
show you what we got.
Sure.
So,
Thank you, Albert. Any further public comment?
My name's Paul LaFata, 48055 Mallard. I did not get a notice, but since this is a township ordinance, I do have some concerns. In the board agenda in the packet, it says there's a charge of $13.13 per square foot at 4 inches thick, and $13.75 at 6 inches thick. It just so happens within the last 2 weeks, I've been out getting quotes, detailed quotes for my driveway and sidewalk back to my pool. And notable contractors for tear out and replacement, $7 to $7.50 at 4 inches and $9 at 6 inches, tear out and replacement. So the unit price per square foot does not reflect a reasonable cost for labor, equipment, plus a reasonable anticipated profit. I can't equate when there's quotes for resident, and the quotes are so much higher when a municipality gets it and they're doing it in bulk. The other issue is it says that all of the construction or the repairs need to be done by July the 16th, 2021. The problem with that is if you get a hold of a contractor to get a quote, most of them will tell you they're having trouble getting labor right now. Everybody's having trouble getting labor. And the soonest they can start my driveway is early July, which if somebody wanted to probably get a contractor to go out to their house and give them a quote and do any work, they're probably going to be in the same boat I am, so they're not going to be able to make the timing. So that means they're not going to be able to get their own contractor. So that's a hardship in itself because there's a big differential in these two prices. To have somebody come out, point and say, tear it out and put it back, and meet the specifications. The liability issue and the mismatch for 4s and 5s, the township offices and the sidewalks out here, we have the same issues. Those issues have been out there for years, and nobody's been worried about the liability until now. So is an ordinance just for the residents, or does it include the township proper? Does the township have to, be responsible for the ordinances that are going to be passed? Or it's just for the residents and the township officials don't have to worry about fixing the sidewalk where people have been hurt? I have evidence that a man in a wheelchair went down the main sidewalk and fell on his head. It's over almost 2 years ago, and it's been a failure to abate this. The other thing is are we going to pass an ordinance now and then piecemeal the rest of it to have town halls every time there's another zone? Because if that's going to happen, there's not going to be enough people that are notified to know that they're going to get an ordinance besides these people here that are going to be affected. The whole township's going to be affected, and right now, these are the only people that have been notified. So I don't think you have a good lot sampling of who wants what done. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further public comment? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, okay, I wasn't sure, sorry. Hi, we are at 46196 Prince Drive, and reading over the letter, I didn't really see it, but I know someone was mentioning that if we decide to fix it for ourselves, we will have to pull up a permit. Is that true? if we decide to fix the properties ourselves, you know, like the damage or whatever it is ourselves?
No, the letter stated that you just need to email the sidewalks@chesterfieldtownship.org. It's a no-fee notification just to let us know that you are planning to do it, so we don't go out there ahead of time with the contractor and, get into your property. And it's also to let us know when to inspect it. So once you're complete with it, we go out, verify that it's been complete, take it off the list.
Okay, so we don't have to pull a permit to get it done?
No,
Okay.
you just have to let us know via sidewalks@chesterfieldtownship.org.
He has a question.
Excuse me, was your address 46?
6196
Prince?
Prince.
Okay.
Yes.
You're a level 4, you do not have level 5s, so if passed as recommended, it will be optional for you to even participate. That's correct, you have 6 years, you got 6 years to make sure you don't get a sidewalk that could cause liability issues for yourself or the township. So you would not be included if passed as submitted.
So then we don't have to get it repaired within,
We'll know at the end of this meeting if it's passed as submitted.
okay. So in that case, I'll skip my next question. Thank you.
Any further comments from the public? You have to go up there.
Hi, my name is Jeffrey Clifton. I live at 25514 Mary Street. First off, I find it very disrespectful that this was done in the middle of a pandemic when people are struggling financially. And also, what's been done in the past 20 years, 30 years for the sidewalks that were damaged and were number 5s? What has been done the whole time? I mean, were they replaced, or was it everyone else's responsibility to pay for this?
I'll answer that.
Okay.
So the why now, there's, the liability's still there, and the fact that we must have a program is still there. So there's never a good time to do this. What's been happening in the last 20 years, I've been sitting in the chair for 4 years, and this is the solution to protect us and the homeowners. And we could grab your address, and you might have fell off this program altogether.
Okay.
And hopefully in 6 years, your sidewalks don't get to a point where they're a liability is all. So there hasn't been anything done since 2005.
Okay.
But there will be, and there must be, either tonight or at some point, like every other mature community in the state.
What was done in 2005? How were they
A
replaced?
sidewalk replacement program that was unsustainable, that did not involve the residents paying for it, and that's why it collapsed on itself.
Okay.
It did not involve resident participation.
Okay, and you mentioned that the cost that I see here of $1,300 for myself, you said that could change and drop dramatically based on the contractor's bid?
What's your address again?
25514 Mary Street. Which I understand that there's damage to mine, but the bid, you said, could go down substantially. So when is myself and the rest of the residents here going to know, am I going to be paying $1,300 or $600? Because it's going to make a difference whether I repair it myself or I look for another bid.
I don't want to say your numbers in public, but if you go right over here to Ellen in the blue shirt, or Jeremy or Mitch, they'll be able to give you your exact number of number 5s. And
Okay.
you do have some number 5s.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's Terry Suter. I live at 48498 Shady Glen Drive. It's a cul-de-sac, so I have like the little extra lot. So I have quite a few. My estimate is $1,969. Nothing's marked out there, so I'm not sure which slabs you're talking about. A couple of them I do know, but I'm not sure. I think there's 3 that are definite, I can tell. But I don't know where this money, what slabs, how many. It just says 150 square feet. I don't know anything. I don't think the paperwork that was mailed out is complete enough for the homeowners to understand.
Jeremy will be able to get you pictures of your exact slabs, and
Well-
if you give me your address, I could get you, or let you know if you're level 4s or level 5s.
I'm just kind of curious why they didn't send us that anyway, or spray paint the slabs, something like that.
Jeremy, could you answer that one? I know you're working on a couple things at once. The model that you presented with GIS spray painting versus the model that we have, that you presented, that we approved last October.
I missed that last part of that.
The spray painting versus the marking and the GIS.
Yeah, so the reason that we went out there and located these digitally rather than go out and mark them up physically is we're dealing with a series of rankings, 1 through 5. We weren't exactly sure which way the township board would want to go, so we marked them all up, 1 through 5, put digital photos in there, and then sent out notices just to get a rough idea of pricing. This is the first program the township's had in quite a few years, so we weren't exactly sure what the appetite would be from contractors, what the pricing would be. That's why we put out an engineer's estimate to begin with, is so that you had a rough idea of what it was, but ultimately we were going to bid it and get an actual price.
Thank you.
Well, I just hope that the next a statement that goes out is a little more clearer, because it really gives you very little information, you know, as to what you have.
Thank you. Any further public comment?
Yeah.
I'm Russ Klaus, 27260 Robin Drive. And I got a notice, obviously, and I have 2 slabs that have shrinkage cracks. I've been there for 22 years, and a month or 2 months after we were there, the one cracked. And the inspector from here was over in the area because all the houses were being built, and I pulled him over there, and he says, it's cement, it cracks. Okay, well, it's been there for 22 years, okay, and now I got to replace it. If you look up it's probably in the records somewhere that I complained about it, okay? The other one's very similar.
Are you on Robin?
Yes.
Okay, you only have a 4, so you will not be included in this program if it's passed as submitted.
Great. Just one more comment. Are they going to be fixing our subdivision? I mean, the entrance to the place looks like a war zone hit it. It's pretty bad. And I was just wondering, I mean, we've been asking for years to get it fixed.
Macomb County Department of Roads, and if you
They
get
do that?
That's correct. If you get that information in my hands, I will put it along the list of requests that I have from the road department that is this long, and I will make sure I add that to the list and find a way and to get them to get it done. Those are Department of Roads.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Paul Puglia. Address is 27227 Josephine Court. Not sure what level we are. Slabs are intact, but there is one or two that are raised a little bit. But I just need to know what level we are. Also, what I see as a more concern is our actual court. There's no storm drains. I was told by a neighbor that the last time they came out, poured asphalt, they actually covered up a storm drain, which makes no sense to me. But there is some flooding that I've noticed. We moved in last August, and I've noticed it floods. There's potholes in the court, which are a concern for anyone that rides a bike as well. But yeah, I've noticed the flooding, and I'm wondering if the township is going to do anything about the court to fix it.
So you do have a level 5 on the list, and the gentleman over here can get you a picture and the issue with that one. The township can coordinate and put pressure on the Macomb County Road Commission, and we can also coordinate a special assessment district, but the township does not own, operate, or have any authority to work on any roads. We actually cannot. By statute. That's a public road, and it's a county road, and we do not own that road. But if you you reach out to our assessing department or my office, we can send you down the road toward special assessment district and trying to get some township funds or county funds to fix that road. So the answer is we can coordinate, we can help, but townships in Michigan do not have authority to fix or funding to deal with our roads.
Okay.
Thank you very much. And the gentleman right over here can probably check out your picture and your exact slab. You have one slab. Thank you. Any further public comment?
Hi, my name is Joan Pregel, and my address is 27212 Telstar. Please tell me it's not a cruel joke. I didn't get a letter. I want to make sure that that's not just an issue with the mail and, you know.
You are not on the list, man.
I am here, though, on behalf of my neighbor who physically can't make it here and has no access to internet or anything. She's a senior. She lives next door to me on the other side of Michelle Ann. She's concerned about hers, but I believe all of hers are level 4. And if you could pass it tonight to not include level 5s, it would be awesome. But my other neighbors on the cul-de-sac all gave me a list of questions to ask. One of them is preparing to sell her house. Does she have to disclose this, or does she have to pay this before the sale of the house because she's been notified that she's got issues? Does she have to pay it, or does the new homeowner have to pay it?
It's going to depend on the date of the sale, I guess. That might be one for the legal. That might be one for the attorney.
Okay.
Bob, we got one for you.
I'm sorry, Dan,
There's
a fair amount of discussion going on, and I didn't hear the question.
The question was, if there's a home sale, whose responsibility is it to pay the bill? Will it be put on the next person's taxes, and will it have to be disclosed?
If it is not on the tax bill, it is not a lien. So at the time of closing, when the homeowner does his or her title work, and there's not a lien on it, it's not the it's not a lien on the real estate. I'm not going to give you my legal opinion as to whether or not the seller has a legal obligation to notify the buyer that this program is going on. I know how I would handle it, but it's not a lien, so it's not going to show up on the title work. It certainly would be a material disclosure, though, that a buyer would want to know at the time of the purchase. So, all right?
So the buyer has to pay it.
That's not what I said. What I said is that's between the buyer and the seller. I think the fair thing to do would be for the seller to disclose it, that the program is going on and that the buyer can expect that the township is going to be knocking at their door to put in a new sidewalk and they're going to be responsible for it. But the buyer and the seller can have their own lawyer weigh in on that. But it's not a lien, so it's not going to show up.
Thank you, Mr. Siebert. Any further comments?
That answers that. Thank you. The other one is one of the neighbors, Uncle Hank, isn't a licensed contractor and has no insurance, but he knows how to pour cement. That's what he does for a living. Can Uncle Hank do it, or does it have to be licensed, bonded, and insured contractor?
Jeremy, if you could talk about the Macomb County.
Here we go.
Yeah, anything that's contracted to the township has to be licensed and bonded. We have specific requirements around that, just because in liability, injury, the whole nine, we have to, and we also have instances where if you're not bonded and you don't pay your supplier, they come after the township and essentially we have to double pay for it. So yeah,
Makes sense.
Yes.
Okay, and if Uncle Hank does the work, he doesn't have to get a permit from you guys first. He just has to notify you before he starts work that he is going to do the work, and when he's done, notify you to come out and check it out to make sure it's cool. Of course, it won't be Uncle Hank doing it anymore, but.
Yes, so
yeah.
you would, as the property owner, send the email directly to the Sidewalk at Chesterfield Township, let us know, we put it on a list, and then when you're done, let us know, and we go out and inspect it, and if it passes, remove it completely from the list.
Last but not least, the big tree is causing the bucking up, severe, truly scary looking stuff on the sidewalks in a couple of places in my neighborhood. One of those neighbors asked me to ask, what about the tree? Because you can see the roots underneath the pushed up sidewalk. Now, do they have to pay to take down the tree?
No, the sidewalk contract includes removing those roots to 6 inches below the bottom of the sidewalk.
Awesome. I'm finally done. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Any further comments?
Hello. I'm a healthy senior. My name's Kathy Schwanitz. I live at 46045 Duchess Road. And I just moved in just really like under 3 years ago. And I planned on moving out of the neighborhood that I'm in only because there were some issues already that I noticed that just from flooding, water settling on sidewalks. My first winter, I'm out shoveling snow, not realizing, I've lived in Michigan and I know what the weather, winters are like. That water would settle on the sidewalks, even in the winter, where it would just melt a little bit maybe during the day, and then I fell and I busted my wrist, my hand, because of water under the snow. The water settles all throughout the neighborhood. In fact, it doesn't even go down at the curb level. It just sits there. It can just sit there for days. I don't know where it comes from. I've called on the sewers before. I've called in the backyard with the sewers. The sidewalks on in this property that I bought, you can see that it's settled. And I think for probably the first season that I was here, I'm swamped with people coming to my door peddling. Hey, we can put this foam spray underneath to bring up the concrete. And everybody was getting it done, and I'm like, what the heck is this all about? But they're telling me, oh, it's all clay under here. That's what you bought. You bought property. It's all clay under here. Everything settles. I'm thinking like, man, I just moved here. I'm going to have to fix a couple of these pieces of sidewalk or whatever because it's settled already pretty deep. The backyard, same thing. That water, just again, I had AT&T come out. I had floods that destroyed my Detroit Edison out there. I mean, water seems to be a real big issue out here, and it doesn't seem to settle because of this clay. And then for homeowners to feel that, hey, we bought into, I didn't buy this house when it was new. It's how old it is, 18, 19 years old, but I just moved in. And like the other comments that people had said, 30 years, this has been like this. Now I come in here and I'm gonna have to, I almost fell over when I saw my cost. Almost like $700, $800 to fix a couple, and it didn't tell me what it was 4 or 5s. I'm a pretty thorough person. I used to work in management. I read these letters too. I'm thinking, this was just very legalese to me, and it wasn't something that was understandable so that I could figure out what my issues were. I can't use my computer right now because of, and I'm not going to go into it. This is personal, but it's a visual thing of mine. So I couldn't get the pictures. I tried calling. I came down here to the office. I thought if I could get the pictures here. Nobody could help me when I came down here to the township office. They said there's probably a phone number in this paperwork, and I'm like, okay, there's some numbers, but I didn't know who to call. So, and as far as the safety issues and things, when you say about safety, I ride my bike to keep in good shape. I can't tell you how many times, in the streets, the cracks, the potholes. You talk about people crossing the street. If you think you got wheelchairs and people with, I see this one couple, they walk with their, I think he's a handicapped young man, and you can see they all struggle with him getting across the street because of these cracks. I almost throw my back out hitting some of these things. So here we're gonna have to pay all this money for sidewalks, and the streets are a mess. And they came through the other day, I guess they put some tar down on a few spots, and it's all crumbled off already. It's not even sticking to where they put it. It's actually made it worse. So, as far as whenever this was, 2005, and now I'm responsible to fix this. If this epidemic hadn't come, I would have been moving out. I was trying to already start looking because I thought, I can't deal with this water stuff and risking falling out in front in the wintertime. I can't even come up my driveway to go get mail because that water settles like that. So how is that going to get fixed? How is that, if I get new sidewalks now, how is that going to get fixed with this water settlement problem? If you look, you'll even see where sidewalks are degraded color-wise because of the amount of water that sets on these people's property. I feel bad for some of these other ones. I can tell it's worse than mine. But, and who can I talk to about getting pictures? Or I can do that here because...
Right over here, they'll get you pictures of the exact slabs on your piece. And,
but how are you going to solve this when it's clay? Everything's built on clay.
Well, now that I know you have a flooding issue, Karen will get your number. We'll research and see if it's something we can help solve. And the road issue, I know the deplorable condition of our roads. We cannot solve that as a township. We're a part of that discussion with the county, but those are county roads. So it's a special assessment district, and it's funding and priorities coming from the county.
From the county?
The Macomb County.
Macomb County.
That's correct. But I will add that one to the list as well.
All right.
Almost the entire township roads are on the list in some way, shape, or form, but thank you.
Okay.
Any further public comment?
All right, thank you. Oh, yeah, sure.
Hi, my name is Rick Rissman. I live at 48861 Shady Glen Drive. You already mentioned that you've got quotes in now, and it's going to be 60% less or whatever the remark was made. Will you be sending out an updated cost to all the homeowners now that you've got quotes and you've come to realize what it's going to cost for sure? And if so, when?
Jeremy will answer that one, but just for your information, you are level 4, so you're going to be optional if you want to participate in
Right,
this time
but
around. Jeremy, can you talk about the process for the moving forward for transmittals and invoicing?
Absolutely. Now that we assuming we get through this process, the township board approves the number 5s, approves the contract with the contractor, we will meet with the contractor and get a schedule from them. We'll send out another notice that has the dates of when the anticipated construction time frame is, and we're obviously going to work either from south to north or north to south, et cetera. But we'll add the updated assessment totals based on what we assessed in the field.
Right. and
With the
that's-
updated costs.
And if it goes, like you say, you are only going to deal with 5s at this point. So if you don't have a 5, you're not going to be having an assessment against your property anyway.
Right.
At least not at this time.
Yep.
Okay, I would like to get pictures of what ones are mine, or you could show me.
Sure.
Any further comments from the public? Okay, up here. Oh, did you already speak? Only one time, I'm sorry. No, you can do, there's another agenda item where you can speak again. We're gonna have 3 more. We're on the public hearing. We have one time you can speak. We spoke on the phone. We had a very nice conversation. We'll be here. You'll have 3 more shots at this. Thank you. Next public comment, please.
I'm Nellie Lesmeister at 48851 Celeste, and I wanted to know, will the bill be on both the winter and summer tax bill? Will it be split?
Winter, it'll be on the winter. Can't, Ellen? This winter, winter
It'll
only.
just be on the winter. And will the bill reflect the balance once that's paid?
No, it will not. It will only reflect, tax bill will only show this year's.
Ellen, could you turn the microphone on right next to you, please?
According to the ordinance, all of these special assessments will be on the winter portion of the tax bill. You will only see that winter portion. What we do, though, is once the district is established, we will send you a letter telling you exactly what your payment is over the 5 years. So you will know every year what you need to pay.
Okay. And the one gentleman said something about the square foot being a lot, costing a lot more than what he's gotten estimates as, and is that because of that 25% township, 25% charge you put on the bid, or added on the bid?
We feel, and the engineering department feels, the 813 and the 1188 for 4-inch and 6-inch is a competitive all-in price. Removal, replacement, the tree, a sprinkler system, the little grass along the sides, the liability if there's issues there is competitive. If a homeowner or property owner wants to fix on their own, they can. And they can do that. We feel that this is a competitive price, and we've hit the sweet spot with the amount of the contract.
And is there any way that you can work with a senior citizen to get the costs split between the 2 tax bills rather than just on the winter?
No, the township can only put special assessments on the winter because that's where they're taxing, they tax. We can't put it on the summer because it's a summer school tax. So we can only put it on the winter portion.
Okay, I guess that's it. Then I'd like to.
Thank you. Any further public comment?
Hi, my name is Anne Marie Franks. I'm at 47418 Pinewood Drive. And I just want to clarify a couple things. I did get the letter, and I did ask for pictures. I think I'm looking at a 5 and a 4, if I'm looking at it right. Is that right? And I was looking at other bids, because this letter is deceiving in the sense that I'm confused. I've been there over 20 years, first time I'm hearing about it. Again, with the price at 13, I was looking at other options and was contracting. So if I'm in the midst of doing this, then I'm already going to be tied into this if I signed an agreement to do less, but you're saying it might be less. I don't know how much more less, because I got it around 9 or something, but it sounds like,
I could tell you a number right now if you want.
I'm just saying because it doesn't say it in the letter, so.
Well, I'll explain it if you'd like. So when the letter went out, we did not have bids. And we also did, that's 4s and 5s. Your number would be $203.25 for your one level 5, and one slab of level 5. And you also have a level 4.
Yes.
Which is up to you if you would like to replace that or include it in this or not, if this is passed as presented later in the
Okay, so
agenda.
guess I'm confused is, I went by looking at this and looking to get an estimate, but now you're saying it's less. So now if we're already stuck into a situation, now you're saying it's cheaper than what we could get on our own now?
The bids came in less than the estimate, and the process requires the notice to go out certain days before.
Okay.
And that's the process. The bids came in less.
Okay,
Less than the
because
estimate.
in here, what doesn't make sense is, I guess like people say, it's not clarifying. It didn't say that you're gonna have a possibility of having better bids. It just looked like this was the flat rate and that was it. So I figured this was high and I was looking elsewhere. So now you're saying, so if I do both, what are you telling me it is? If I do as it is, both, 4 and 5?
You could get the number from them, it'd be approximately $207 or $407 in your piece for your 2 slabs.
Versus what they gave me here. Okay,
That's correct.
all right. I'm just trying to figure out why they took so long. Okay. Hey, thank you.
Thank you. Any further public comment?
Hi, my name's Renee Rissman. I'm with the Cedar Glen subdivision. I have a question. How can we, as the residents of Chesterfield Township, help you, as the township, against Macomb County fixing our roads? Can we do a petition? Is there something we could help you, since you can't really do much about it? We want to stand with you.
Starts with phone calls.
Okay.
And they're at a pickle themselves because it's a funding mechanism from the state level, and it's a public act at the state of Michigan that has got Macomb County Department of Roads as a donor county. So participating in that with phone calls to them helps, and legislative solutions to your state reps and state senators. If we could try to keep it down a little bit, but maybe reach out to me offline, and I could continue on that because we're getting a little bit off
Great.
pace here.
I'd
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
'Cause
Any
it's
further
all of
comments from the
us.
public on the public hearing?
Absolutely. Right now, right here.
Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Joseph, support by trustee Vosberg to close the public hearing. Deputy Clerk Nyza, please call the roll.
Trustee Joseph?
Aye.
Trustee Vosberg?
Aye.
Trustee Anderson?
Aye.
Supervisor Acciavatti?
Aye.
Treasurer Elliott?
Aye.
And Trustee Demink?
Aye.
The public hearing is closed at 7:03. Item 6 is the regular agenda, 6A.
Do you want me?
Item 6A.
Agenda item 6A, a recommendation by Supervisor Acciavatti to proceed with assessments of number 5 defects only, with the option of homeowner's choice on number 4 or additional sidewalk repairs requested, and to adopt resolution number.
If we could, have order. Keep the chatter down. If you would, Deputy Clerk Nyza, please read from the beginning.
No problem. Agenda item 6A, a recommendation by Supervisor Acciavatti to proceed with assessments of number 5 defects only, with the option of homeowner's choice on number 4 or additional sidewalk repairs requested, and to adopt resolution number 2021-12, the 2021 Sidewalk Replacement Program Finding of Necessity.
Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion by trustee Vosberg,
Support.
support by treasurer Elliott. Discussion. We'll
Mr.
bring it to
Supervisor.
board. Trustee Joseph.
I'd like to make a motion to table this agenda item.
Motion by trustee Joseph.
Yeah,
to
support.
Table, support by trustee Anderson.
If I could be heard on the motion to table, Mr. Supervisor.
Would you like to, well, hold on one second. So you've made a motion to table, which would mean later in this meeting.
I see. So I'd
Would
like,
you like motion to postpone?
yes, please. Thank you. And I'd ask for continued support for the motion to postpone. Continued support.
Motion to postpone by trustee Anderson, or trustee Joseph, support by trustee Anderson.
Mr. Supervisor, if I could, I just had a couple of comments to support the motion to postpone. We heard very clearly from the participants in this public hearing, and for the record, I don't want to blindside anybody. I'm not in favor of this program. But specifically as it relates to this agenda item, what we heard in the public feedback is a very rushed program, a lot of confusion among the residents, inflated prices that were initially sent out, and I understand there was no deception in the way it was presented to you. The estimate was based on the best guess, but in actuality, the bid is what has been determined, and nobody, until we approve this or they approve this tonight, will you know what it is that you're going to be obligated to pay. The argument involving the health, safety, and welfare of the community is difficult for me because we talk about in this motion the level 5s, but we heard in the presentation from the engineer that actually level 2 is what's required to meet ADA requirements. So it seems to be a slippery slope with what we're calling liability and the health and safety. We had a lot of testimony tonight, and we heard from residents who are frustrated about the parking lots and their roads, and this idea that they have to come out of their pocket for thousands of dollars for level 5 seems to me to be a bit obscene, as we heard from one commenter in the midst of a pandemic. So as you come out of dealing with whatever problems your family may have faced, the second meeting that the township is even in person, you're being told that you're going to spend upwards of $178,000 spread out amongst all of you. The idea of the paint being applied to the sidewalks is critical because, as we heard in the testimony today, the residents are unclear about what they're even being asked to pay for. So what we heard tonight was one by one you come to the microphone and you get sent over for a private conference, but what would be nice is if you could walk your neighborhood and you could see on the sidewalk what is a level 1, 2, 3, so forth. Then you could compare. I think the problem is that in the comparison you might be a little dissatisfied with how decisions are being made, and I don't blame you. The confusion associated with this late notice is very difficult. In addition, I think one of the speakers nailed it, and that is the timeline is so tight for you as residents. If you were to go out and get a contractor and you say, could you come out and give me a bid on 2 cement pads in the front of my house, they would probably laugh at you because they have booked large jobs for the entirety of the summer months before this township even decided to do anything. So you are stuck with whatever the township gives you, and I don't think that's the proper place that we should be putting you as your elected officials. So again, I have a whole host of level 5 basket full of reasons why we should not be moving forward with this, but as it relates to this agenda, I think we owe it to the residents to postpone this and provide them with the answers that were framed very eloquently from this very large turnout as we continue in a pandemic. Thank you.
If I could, Trustee Joseph, there was an opportunity on October the 27th of 2020 for your vote to stop this program. There were six members at this meeting on October 27th, 2020. I urge you to watch it. 4 members voted to proceed, with Trustee Joseph casting the one vote to direct us down this path. So it's very, very disingenuous, but it is a pattern. And, I think that comment is very disingenuous. I think postponing will cause one more year.
Mr. Supervisor, that's not appropriate, sir.
Please.
Hit your hammer. It's not appropriate.
You can, I will let you speak in a minute, and I will not interrupt you.
I don't need to speak in a minute.
I will not interrupt you.
Why are you attacking a fellow trustee?
Please. It's disingenuous to say that, and he knows it. You were supportive of this when we voted to proceed. You can be against it now. I appreciate your argument. Make the argument correctly. Trustee Anderson, you can speak.
Thank you. I think Trustee Joseph's hit all the salient points. These programs come up, they look good, and then you start seeing where the costs are going, and there's a lot of question marks. I could go into other events that this township, majority of this board are following, and when you start seeing the prices, you got to pay attention. It's your tax dollars that's going into it, just like this program. The fives are critical. I haven't heard anything about major lawsuits against this township on our sidewalks. I know a lot of them are in really pathetic shape. I've seen a couple sidewalks on Sugar Bush, new construction. Already they're puddling. Is that a function of government, local government, to make sure those things don't happen? I mean, these are buildings that were thrown up, houses that were thrown up within the last year or so. Lawsuits, we're letting 4s and 3s and 2s go. 5s are important. No one could get sued by a 4, 3, or 2. I just think right now at a time of a pandemic, the way the money is, a lot of people are getting $300 a week to survive, and now you're going to have to come up with your taxes. This will be late on. I just think it is questionable at this time. And also, Mr. Supervisor, I know you want to bring things up. I just think for myself, I think it's totally inappropriate to assault a fellow board member. I know you want to get a point across. This is not the venue. Be a professional. You're a professional, and you know, give you a lot more credit than that, sir. Thank you.
Any further public comment or any further comment from the board? We have a trustee or treasurer Elliott.
So I actually live in this district, and I also received the letter, and I agree with many of the residents who said that the letter was confusing. It was, and I admit to that. I was a little bit confused and had a lot of questions. I'm glad that the paint wasn't on the sidewalk, because it would be big red X's or yellow X's or black X's everywhere all over the neighborhood. And especially since in the first couple of weeks that the sun's out and we're out walking, it's been nice, and that would have been terrible to have to look at. So I'm glad. And as well, I think that would have increased liability during this time. So I'm glad that people weren't going and, oh, look, I'm going to fall here where the red X is, or what have you, was a thought that I had. I took the list. I have it printed up, and most of my neighbors have seen me walking around and looking at the difference between the 4s and the 5s. And the 5s are bad. They're the ones where they're crumbling, right? You've got the whole slabs crumbling, or they're up. There's one across the street from me where the manhole was like 4 inches up, you know, and I'm glad that we're able to solve that. So then I started talking to some of the neighbors for feedback. And I want to thank every single one of you for coming here today and giving your feedback and talking about your concerns and your thoughts. I think that's fantastic. The stories that I heard from my actual neighbors as I was walking around, one of them told me that she tripped and fell in front of her friend's house last year, broke her wrist. She said, I didn't sue anybody because that's my neighbor. I'm not going to sue my neighbor. And she said, we just dealt with it. Another person, actually a couple of moms, several of the moms whose kids have been learning to ride bikes and stuff like that, told me stories about how their kids fell off because of the big lips that the kids are hitting. And sometimes the sidewalk, as you guys all know, as you walk around, right, those are higher than even the kids' bicycle tires can go over. One guy really cracked me up, and he said, I push the stroller around with the,
and do wheelies. And, and I kind of laughed and said, yeah, I get it, because I've done that as well. So for me, I support this program at doing the 5s, the real problems, the obvious problems, and then the 4s is something that if you choose, let them know, or and you can be a part of the program. You can also at any point in time, if take care of this yourself, take care of the problem and go outside. You don't have to go with the township. With the townships, am I correct, with the contractor? So I just kind of wanted to touch base and let you know that I'm a part of this with you, and I do appreciate your feedback. I think it's been great tonight. Thank you.
Trustee Vosberg on the motion to postpone.
Thank you. I do not support postponing. I think we've heard from enough people that have number 5s. It's time we move on with the program in the community, so I will be voting no.
Motion by Trustee Joseph, support by Trustee Anderson to postpone item 6A.
Mr. Supervisor.
Deputy Clerk Nyza, please call the roll. You are not recognized.
No. That deviates from practice. There's a round 2. That's what I'm asking to speak on. That's not fair. I mean, just because you have the gavel and the votes, that's not fair. It really isn't.
Go ahead.
Thank you. What I wanted to clear up was I tried to lay out the reasons to support the postponing of this agenda item. It is very unfair to bring up the October vote, because the October vote wasn't a motion to cause residents to pay money. The October vote, no. Well,
yes, it was.
I thought the king of not interrupting would allow me the floor. So you gavel yourself, I'll wait.
I'm gavelled.
Thank you.
Quit lying.
So in October, the vote was to send this for bid for GIS, Geographic Information System Mapping. That's what we spent the money on. I don't think it would have been appropriate to say no at a time when we didn't know the cost or the scope of the problem. So I voted to get an idea of what that would be. I don't get a vote in the botched rollout, and that's what we heard from today, which is why I say, before you stick people with a couple $100,000 in category 5s, and if they're at the scene and we want to go to a 4, we have the right to do that. You should make sure that the people who are paying the bills understand their bill, and that is clearly evident tonight that they don't. They came to the podium one by one and said, we're confused. And the meeting was difficult to even hear, because one by one they went over for a private session, and it was like, oh, you're not even in the program. Don't worry about it. Don't you'll be okay. But you're on a merry-go-round with this agenda item, which is every 6 years the township is coming back for another bite at the apple in perpetuity, and this is a bad rollout. It has nothing to do with my October vote. And in the March vote, I voted no because it was getting closer to exactly this, and I could tell it was a botched rollout. And here we are. So that's the reason for the motion to postpone. And I don't want to be attacked any more tonight. It's really not fair. I laid it out very eloquently. I tried as best I could do, and I stuck to the motion, the issues that supported my motion to postpone. I don't appreciate the blind side, but it's what happens when you're in the minority. They can pound on you and gavel you, and when my friend sticks up, he gets the gavel. It's not right. It's not right, and I'm going to be here for you because I don't want to see you stuck with this. Now I'm done.
Thank you. Any further comments? Motion to postpone by Trustee Joseph, support by Trustee Anderson. Deputy Clerk Nyza, please call the roll.
Trustee Joseph?
Aye.
Trustee Anderson?
Aye.
Supervisor Acciavatti?
No.
Treasurer Elliott?
No.
Trustee Vosberg?
No.
Trustee DeMink?
No.
Motion to postpone fails. We have a motion by Trustee Vosberg, support by Treasurer Elliott, to approve item 6A as submitted. Are there any public comments? Are there any board comments? Are there any public comments on item 6A? If there are, you can come up to the podium and state your name again for the record and limit your comments to 5 minutes.
My name is Eric Wisner. I live on Michelian Drive. One thing that I don't think has been addressed was you said there's multiple quotes and bids on this. Why have those not been delivered to the people?
There would be an agenda, there would be an agenda item on the bids following this one. It would be the
Okay.
appropriate time to ask that question.
And to say that you didn't know that a $13 square foot is an overprice, $5 over what the normal is. How would you not know that? And how would the company that gave that quote not know that when that's their expertise?
Any further public comment?
I don't understand parliamentary procedures or what went down here was a disgrace. Thank you, Hank. Thank you, Mr. Joseph, for explaining what was in my head that I didn't even know was an option to reconsider this whole program. Yes, does it need to be done? Yes. But does it need to be done by July of this pandemic year? That was something I didn't even know was an option to take off the board until it was brought up by these two gentlemen, and I know how I'll be voting next time.
Any further comments from the public? We have a motion by Trustee Vosberg, support by Treasurer Elliott, to approve item 6A as submitted. Deputy Clerk Nyza, please call
Mr.
the roll.
Supervisor, will you bring it back to the board?
Yes, I will. Trustee Joseph.
I won't rehash all of the points that I made in the previous, but I would just like to point out one of the questions from the podium had to do with the dollar amount that was notified. And that, as I understand it, was based on an estimate. And that was an estimate based on what the engineering team collectively put together. Part of the reason that I think we really should give an opportunity is that we're May 17th, and you will only give the residents the final number after this board votes. I don't know how they get a contractor to come out, give them a bid on 3 or 4 pads, and it's not to say that the entirety of the program should be scrapped, because there are elements of it that I think are valid, but again, this rush, and again, this is the second meeting that we've had, and there's still confusion about masks. You can't get labor. You can't get. I just think we're going in a direction that is really creating a lot of hardship. Even with the removal from 4s to simply 5s, people just don't have the numbers, and they can't make decisions. You have the questions that were posed tonight were evidence of just widespread confusion, and it's not fair. Again, I'll be voting no without rehashing everything I did in the previous comments.
Thank you. Mr. Siebert, if you could restate the discussion from the inception of this program in October, prior to that, years in the Ways and Means Committee, of the need for this program and any neighboring communities that, what a municipality looks like that doesn't have a sidewalk replacement program.
Well, as I indicated when we spoke about this, I think in October, under the current state of Michigan law, municipalities are responsible to keep sidewalks that are adjacent to county road right-of-ways in reasonable repair and safe for pedestrian travel. And there are no exceptions to that. And there is a presumption that the sidewalks are in good repair, but there are ways to rebut that, and the ways to rebut that under the statute are that if there are discontinuities in the sidewalk that are 2 inches or greater, or there are conditions of the sidewalk that do not deal with discontinuity, but the cement is cracked, it's uneven in other respects, Michigan courts will find that the sidewalk is not safe for pedestrian travel. And when someone is injured on those sidewalks, the municipality is subject to liability. And I have represented municipalities throughout the state of Michigan, not just Macomb, Oakland, and Wayne County, but I've represented communities all over the state. And invariably, when you get involved in the defense of a lawsuit where someone's injured on a sidewalk, the first question that the lawyer for the injured party will ask is, what is your program for maintaining your sidewalks? And many communities do not have programs, and when they do not, the plaintiff has a very good position against the municipality that the law has placed on you the obligation to keep them safe on the one hand, yet you take no action whatsoever to ensure that they're safe, and you act reactively so that you don't do anything about it until somebody's injured, and then it's too late. So when we discussed the program early, and again, this program is almost 99% engineering, and I'll leave that to Jeremy, but I can tell you from a municipal attorney's standpoint that not having a program in place is prejudicial to the township's position when you do get sued. And quite frankly, aside from the liability section, you don't want anybody to get injured on a defective sidewalk anyway. So the courts place on you an affirmative obligation to make sure that the sidewalks that you require people to put in are safe.
Question for the attorney, Mr. Supervisor.
Go ahead.
The program, as you presented to us in October, as I understood it, we were kind of out there potentially with a lot of liability given that there was no program since 2005. And the program rollout was a necessity from a liability standpoint. That was my takeaway then, and that was my takeaway from your presentation just now. Would the township also have any liability for a claim, say, that comes in on Zone 6? Zone 6 isn't slated to be repaired for 6 years. Would the township be protected, or would the case be somewhat mitigated based on the fact that we now have a program? Or does the program have to make the repair immediately?
There is no provision in Michigan law which requires you to go through the township corner by corner and do all of the repairs at once. There is no requirement that you do a township-wide repair at all. The point I was attempting to make was that the Michigan legislature has said to townships, you are responsible to make sure that sidewalks that are located in your jurisdiction are safe. When somebody gets hurt, you're going to pay for it. When you pay for it, everybody in this room pays for it.
No, I appreciate, I'm sorry to interrupt, go ahead.
And as a result, the proactive stance that townships, many townships take, are to start programs. I'm familiar with programs in communities where they will chop the community into quadrants, much like you're doing. And every year they will go through and do a particular quadrant. I represented a municipality not far from here several years ago where they would walk the sidewalks with iPads, and they would check the sidewalks, and they would do exactly what Jeremy's done and rate them. And over a course of time, they would do a little bit at a time. But if somebody gets hurt tomorrow in Zone 6, and that is not scheduled to be repaired for another 2 or 3 years, that gives you no protection whatsoever. For every district that you're not doing, and your engineers have recognized that there's defective sidewalks, you've essentially stated to the world that you recognize they're dangerous and they're not being fixed. That puts you in a bad spot. And any program is better than no program in every community. Most communities don't have the funds to go out and do it all at once. They do a little bit at a time, which is exactly what you're doing. Nobody likes it done, but if you don't do it, the end result is you're going to be in indefensible positions and suits when people are injured.
I appreciate the legal clarification tonight. It sounds very similar to what you told us when we went forward with the program or the investigation of the program. My point tonight, in terms of the legal ramifications, there's absolutely zero difference in the protection that you may have in representing us in court. We approved a massive undertaking of finances for Zone 1 tonight, or we waited until they had an opportunity to understand the program. We are doing...
It wouldn't make any difference at all. Dave, if you postpone this 6 months, it wouldn't make an ounce of difference in your liability.
Thank you.
We have a motion by, motion by Trustee Vosburgh, support by Treasurer Elliott to approve item 6A as submitted. Deputy Clerk Nyza, please call the roll.
Trustee Vosburgh?
Aye.
Treasurer Elliott?
Aye.
Trustee Anderson?
No.
Trustee Joseph?
No.
Supervisor Acciavatti?
Aye.
And Trustee DeMink?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 6B.
A recommendation by Spalding DeDecker to award the contract to Delta Industrial Group, Inc. as the lowest responsible bidder in the amount of $178,366 for the number 5 rated sidewalks and $260,982.35 for all or part of the number 4 rated sidewalks.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Treasurer Elliott,
I'll support that.
support by Trustee Vosberg, or yes, Trustee Vosberg. Discussion. Comments from the public, and I do believe we had a question about the bidding process, and Jeremy could jump into this. All the bids are available on our website, and Jeremy, if you could touch on the bidding process.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the question was about the engineer's estimate and why is the engineer's estimate so much higher than the bids. The lowest bid compared to the second bid is 27% lower. So that's the majority of it right there. If you go to the next lowest bid, it's within 5% of the engineer's estimate. Sometimes you get good prices. Somebody's looking for work and they like the program and they want to move forward, and that's what happened. We got a better price than what we anticipated. But there were five bids received, and Delta was the lowest of those 5.
It looks like we do have a public comment. Thank you.
Paul LaFata, 48055 Mallard. We're going to award a amount to a contractor, and we do not know how many homeowners are going to be doing their own sidewalks. So we're going to approve amount for a contractor, and we really don't know if this amount is correct or not, because I gotta believe there's gonna be some of these homeowners are gonna get their own contractor to do the work, or some of them are even gonna do it themselves. So how does this math work when we approve something that isn't really covered by a specific number of square foot, or whatever you wanna call it? Thank you.
Any further public comment? And Jeremy, if you do want to take, maybe after this one, the shot at the unit price contract, the quantity stuff, that former Treasurer LaFata asked after this comment.
I just wanted to comment what Trustees Joseph said, that everybody here is not going to be able to get a contractor on their own. They're going to get laughed at. These are small jobs. And nobody's going to come out to their house for a slab of concrete. So we'll get stuck with whatever, the township puts us with. That is a fact. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Any further public comment? Jeremy, we got one more.
Is there a possibility of extending the July date? Give us some more time.
I'll let Jeremy speak to this season and the process, and if that is even possible, and still get it done this season.
Yeah, the bids that we received have a number of inspector crew days, which is essentially their schedule, and their schedule is already pushing them from July into the end of the year. We have a very short schedule in Michigan, construction up to essentially about October, and anything past that gets cold, rainy, and you're risking quality. So the reason we set those cutoff dates is to, number one, give the residents from the time of the letter 3 months total, but also save as much time as possible for the contractor, because we do have a lot of work to get done in the first year.
If we're doing it ourselves, can we get an extension?
Logistically, so you got till July 16th to let the contractor know or to get it done, basically.
So if I notify
if it's a
them,
level 5,
I still have more time then? I can have more time? If I notify them?
You have to be done. Does it have to be done by the July 16th or a process?
Yeah, so the way that we handled this before was we said, let us know by June 16th. And the reason we set the July 17th date is we need to have some sort of timeline on this. Otherwise, we got open-ended concrete that we may or not be able to replace. I know in the past in other, municipalities, we have worked with them. If they have a contract, usually we ask for you to provide a copy of your contract and a schedule. And if it's going to be past July 17th, we have worked with people in the past.
So yes, we can work with you if you have a contract, and the whole purpose of this is to get them fixed for least cost as possible, and we will work with you as much as we possibly can within the law. Any further public comment?
Just one more quick one. I just checked. I do have 2 concrete blocks, whatever you would call the sheets. And I'm only going to say, everybody's being told that it's going to drastically reduce with these new quotes or whatever. I'm only getting $93 knocked off. So I'm still having to pay like close to $600 when it was close to $700. So just to let people know, it's not what I just heard, like 60% reduced.
This 60% is the number of the level 4s, which would be completely eliminated. It's
No.
only the 5s.
It's the 4-inch sidewalk is significantly cheaper than the 6-inch. The 6-inch isn't a total 40% off. I think it's like 20. Yeah.
Okay,
So-
I'll let it go.
Well, why
Because
is-
this is important. So explain where a 6-inch sidewalk
Yeah.
goes by code and a 4-inch sidewalk.
That would help.
Yeah, so a 4-inch sidewalk is anywhere not in a driving surface. So yours are in your driveway, and it needs to be thicker. Otherwise, 4-inch sidewalk will just crack under the weight of your vehicle.
Even though they've been sinking with the clay.
Right.
Thank you. Any further public comment?
My name is Daniel Lowe. I live on 46650 Pat Street. And my concern is that we're getting forced to make a quick decision on paying to get our slabs fixed, but on the corner, I live on the corner lot, and the corner where the ramp is lifting just as high as my slabs. Are they gonna fix them in a timely manner like they're fixing my sidewalk, like I'm getting rushed to do?
Are you talking about the ADA, the road commission portion of this?
It's just, on the corner of the street. It's a tripping hazard just like my
Because
slab is.
On the street?
No, it's on the corner.
Is it a
Okay,
sidewalk
so
or a street?
I live on the corner house, and going right where the sidewalk is, where the stop sign is a slab that goes to the street. But it's still where people ride bikes, people walk their dogs, and it's still the same thickness as far as the slope as my 2 slabs. Are they gonna fix that in July like they're fixing mine?
Jeremy?
Yeah, so a lot of times what we do is we notify the county that those issues are out there, and anytime that they come in with a road construction project, especially a federally funded one, they're required to replace those ADA ramps. That's why we didn't include those in these programs, is because when they come through and do the road, they're gonna do the ramps at that time.
Okay.
Any further public comment? Trustee Joseph.
Sorry. I'm a little confused because I thought I heard in the initial presentation, you had the floor, the rollout was homeowner needed to notify the township by way of email by June. They needed to complete the work by July. Now they can go past July. If they produce a contract, they can, what would the new timeline be? When can they have the work completed?
So it's a case-by-case situation. I think the hard and fast rule is June 16th, let us know you're gonna do it. July 17th, you have to have it completed by. I think what we're hearing from the public is that maybe they might be able to get a contractor, and if they can get it within a reasonable time frame after that July 17th and have a contract before July 17th, we would consider it on a case-by-case basis. I don't think it's changing the rules, it's just saying that we would consider them case by case.
Okay. The balance of my comments have to do with the quote and the process for getting the quote. If we send out a notice to residents and we estimate your slabs to be, say, close to $13 a square foot, and the township then goes out to bid, I say this only because I spent the majority of my college and high school years carrying bricks and mortar and working in this grunt work. It's very difficult work. And if the township has already set the bar at $13 a square foot based on an estimate, and then we asked for open bids, I don't think we should be surprised that there's one hungry person in there that goes, I'll undercut it, and the rest are not. But what we heard tonight is that if the independent homeowner goes out, if you can get the contractor to the house, they can come significantly lower than that. So we went from $13 a square foot by one account to $7.50 a square foot. But those deals are long gone now for you. That's not this summer because those jobs are already booked. So I think the expansion of the timeline, I think the expansion of the timeline, but I think we're going to have a scenario where, and I hope the residents take advantage of it. I hope that they go out and get a contractor to give them a price with an estimated completion date by July, and if it doesn't happen because the contractor can't do the work, you're not going to be too long before you're pushed into the Zone 2 work for the following year. Again, I think if we were being honest in the rollout of this, we would say we've done tremendous work on the GIS. We've done tremendous work on identifying the levels 1 through 5. We've done a tremendous amount of work of getting quality vendors to do the work. I think the area that we come up short is in the squeeze with this timeline. And again, when you look at all the other environmental things that are going on, I too think that a program is a good idea, but rushing it in and the poor people in Zone 1 that get to, by Zone 2 next year, I think we'll have a lot of these kinks worked out, and there'll be a lot of, discussion and a lot of talk at the board meetings. But to bring it out, again, this is only our second meeting in person where people could actually come in and talk about it. So, for me, I think the bid process here, again, it's just a very rushed and in my opinion, botched portion of this program. But thank you.
Treasurer Elliott.
Jeremy, did you tell us the unit price? Are you able to say that on this, the recommendation?
For the recommendation from Delta, yeah,
Yes.
it was $8.13 for the 4-inch. It was $11.88 for the 6-inch and $12.82 for the 8-inch.
Thank you. And also, so having the work, if you have a contract and you're saying on a case-by-case basis, so if you have a contract that says the work will be completed by that contractor, I think we originally said July, now we're saying possibly August. Is that more realistic? Or is that not, it's gonna have to go by a case-by-case basis?
Yeah, it's a case-by-case basis. In a lot of the other communities that we go out in, we had some where we did delay it a year and they weren't able to get a contractor even within that year because not a lot of people want to come out and do 1 slab or 2 slabs. That's part of the reason for the program, is to put the economy of scale out there and to try and get a better price for everybody, because contractor's going to be a lot hungrier if he has several $100,000 worth of work versus, $500 worth of work. And I would say the other part of that too is the township contract. We build in the insurance, we build in the bonding, we build in removing the roots below the sidewalk flags, we build in repairing of any sprinkler systems that get damaged, restoration, et cetera. So there's a lot of other things other than just the sidewalk that's included.
Jeremy, what is square footage for an average 4-inch?
It's the flags are in general measured at 5 feet by 5 feet, so 25 square feet.
Thank you.
This is the last action item on the first shot at the sidewalk program. It would be very easy to take a problem like this and kick it down the road like it's been done since 2005. But that's not what we're here to do. We're here to solve the problems and move it forward. Time and time again, you'd be surprised with people with the folks in this room are clearly not happy with this program. But there's hundreds of phone calls and emails and residents that are, and voicemails and emails, fix the sidewalks, make us more connectable. So I do appreciate the opposition to this. However, the status quo is not the option. It is not an option for us anymore. The timing issue, so as we went through and looked at every single option, can we afford to pay for it ourselves? You run the numbers, and it's just not sustainable. There has been some communities that have done that. They make it 2 or 3 years, and then they end up with real bad budget problems for the other necessities that a township can solve, like participating in roads or some of the other areas. So then you look at the reality of the program. Can you assess it? Can you do the assessments and the notices in the winter with snow and with the season and bid them then to give that additional time? Well, there's a whole different problem to try to nail the sweet spot, which is the lowest possible price by having it a large program. And that number was between 3 and 5 to get the best possible unit price to get the ball rolling. So getting rid of the 4s was a very good thing. 6 years from now, I would anticipate the 4s might not turn into 5s, because you might see homeowners grind them down or lift them or fix them on their own. And nothing would be better than being able to drive around Chesterfield and not see one sidewalk out of place. Well, we have 200 miles worth that are out of place, and we've just got to start now. And the timing of it was discussed a ton before we approved this in October, for about a year before, troubleshooting every possible issue. So I do support item 6B. The bids were competitive. We got very fortunate with a contractor that's qualified to do it, and was under what it was anticipated. And as we move forward, we'll get better moving forward, if this passes.
I got one question.
Okay, Trustee DeMink.
Jeremy, you said 25 square foot just for an average slab, okay? How many yards of concrete, let's say, for a 4-inch slab? Do you know right off? Okay.
I don't know off the top of my head, but I can calculate it and then I'll tell you.
I was just curious, like, what, how many is it? A half yard, quarter yard, or for a 6? Okay.
Each flag's about a quarter yard.
Each one's about a quarter yard?
Yeah,
Okay.
3/10 of a yard, yep.
At 4-inch.
At 4-inch?
4-inch, yeah.
And if you go to 6?
Get about 2, half a yard.
Okay, all right, just something I'd like to know. All right, thanks, appreciate it.
He's quicker
Sorry to
than
throw
me.
one at you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Little math quiz. Any further comments from the board or the public? We have a motion by Treasurer Elliott, support by Trustee Vosberg, to approve item 6B as submitted. Deputy Clerk Nyza, please call the roll.
Treasurer Elliott?
Aye.
Trustee Vosberg?
Aye.
Trustee Anderson?
No.
Trustee Joseph?
No.
Supervisor Acciavatti?
Aye.
Trustee DeMink?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 7 are public comments. Please state your name and address for the record and limit your comments to 5 minutes. And up at the podium is open.
Hello, my name is Martin Bochniak. I just have a few questions. One question would be I'm in Zone 4, so I don't have to get it done. I do like to get the names of the contractors that do the work, because we might decide to replace the whole driveway. Second question is, I would like to talk to the gentleman over there to take to see the picture of the slab that concerns us and stuff like that. I talked to this gentleman, he got my email address, and I don't have a computer right now, so I would just like to see it. But if I could get a listing. Also, there was a lady that complained about she has water in her backyard because we live under clay. Somebody mentioned here that we could talk to somebody here, and my backyard last month, let's put it this way, we had ducks landing in our backyard, okay? So it kind of looked nice, but is there something that we could do, or can they do a dry sump or something like that? Because there's like 4 or 5, 6 inches of water in our property, so I don't know if we have to add up, 6 inches or 12 inches of dirt, not to have that problem, but, so if it's possible, I'd like to talk to somebody about that.
Thank you. If you give your number to Karen right next to you, I will touch base with you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further public comment? Item 8, board comments. Trustee Anderson.
Thank you. Tonight was a special meeting. Issue was near and dear to most of you here, all of you here. I personally appreciate you showing up, expressing your opinions, expressing your values. This board meets every the second and fourth Tuesday of the month. This board meets. If you go online, you want to watch it, you better have your Dr. Denton's and your blanket and your pillow on. Sometimes you get kind of boring. Sometimes they're kind of get a little hot. The one thing is we're concerned about what happens in Washington. We listen to what's happening in Lansing. This board predicates a lot of your daily life, what's going on in this township, good or bad. It's your perception. This is what affects you up close within the confines of this township. I'm glad you were here. I'd like to see this every meeting, and thank you all.
Trustee Joseph.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. The issues involving the agenda items, I won't rehash. We've went through that. I would like to point out, just from a how we conduct business standpoint, the residents that came to the podium, most of you, as Trustee Anderson pointed out, are not familiar faces in terms of public participation. Maybe you watch the meetings at home. There is some parliamentary procedure that happens. It can get kind of confusing. There was a lady here who had a lot to say. I know that she left because I think she thought she was not allowed to speak anymore, and what was trying to be communicated to her was that she couldn't speak on that issue again, but our rules afford her the ability to speak on every agenda item. So, as you come, hopefully you come to more and more board meetings and watch them. Your elected officials are much more accountable when you come to meetings, I can assure you that. In terms of what happens up here, the trustees are part-time board members. I have a regular job and I work outside of here, and what I try to do most every time I'm here is understand the issue that's in front of me, talk to as many residents as I can, I try to be as responsive as I can, and I try to bring forward the voice that I think I was elected to do. Tonight, I laid out a very long list that were very specific to my motion. When you make a motion and you are supporting your motion, you're supposed to keep your argument to that motion. In months past and in years past, we've gone astray on this board, and we start, really getting very personal. And there were elements tonight that I thought were just reasonable dissent. They were just very reasonable points, and I did a very mindful job of staying on the points that I heard from the public. Then I was called disingenuous, and it just was very unfair. And I'm not thin-skinned about it. Trust me, I can bare knuckle it too, and most oftentimes that's what I do. It just looks real ugly, and so there have been some conversations, Mr. Supervisor. I don't think it's a secret. We've talked about them publicly, where you and I have met, and I thought we were on a place where we were going to try to just really respect one another. And I made no personal attacks. And anybody that watches the meeting, if you found something that I said that was a personal attack, please let me know, because I was really honestly trying. That's as good as it gets for me. Normally, and I didn't do it tonight, but this has been debated. We have 4 out of the 7 board members here do not even have sidewalks in front of their house. That to me is a tell. It is not as if you can't understand the gravity of the entire problem, but if you don't even have a sidewalk to replace, and you're saying, well, we'll give you 5 years and it's interest-free and we have liability, Literally, you have people who, if you wanted to walk from the new subdivision to the historic village, you'd walk right by your house, Trustee Vosberg. There's no sidewalk there. So for people to come in and say, look, this is potentially a hardship, we heard from residents who came forward with a list of questions from their elderly neighbors. We got a lot of people out there still quarantined. They're terrified to come out of their house. And to say that this is, must be done today, I thought was, again, I didn't call it disingenuous. I just had a different opinion. And for that, I was called names, and it was really inappropriate, Mr. Supervisor. And I want you, in earnest, to go back and look at the tone when it was your turn to speak, and instead of countering the points, you countered me. You attacked me. You brought up how I voted in October as if you were making some case, as you put it, to support disingenuous. But you weren't supposed to make a case for why I was disingenuous. You were supposed to make a case for the points that I made. You attacked the person. You have an obligation to yourself because I never raised my voice. I never called you any names. But you should go back and watch the tape. You should put yourself either in timeout or give yourself a stern talking to because you were out of line. And my fellow board member stood up and said, hey, that's not professional. That's not professional. That's what he said. And you gavelled him and you came unglued. And it's not a good look for us. And we got many more issues where we're going to be contentious. And I'm going to stick to the issues. And I'm going to keep my voice low. And I'm going to make as concise a point as I can. That's hard for me. I get a little long-winded. But I'm going to try. And I'm not going to attack anybody. And I don't want to be attacked. And that's a very reasonable place to be. No matter if you agree with me or not, I just think that's a reasonable place to be. And that's where we should be striving to go. And I think you really got to look at yourself tonight, Mr. Supervisor. You disappointed me, and when you watch it, you're going to be disappointed in yourself. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Deming. Trustee Deming. Thank you. Trustee Deming.
Thank the residents for being here tonight. Hopefully your questions got answered. This is a program that I feel needed to get started. It's been put away for a lot of years. Like I said, I've been up here since 2004, and the sidewalks, there's a lot around. I think it's get a better price. Concrete's not cheap. I'm doing concrete myself this weekend at my house, and it's cost me a lot more than what these bids are here. Also, there's a lot of different opinions up here. That's why there's 7 of us up here. There's only 6 tonight. Everybody's entitled to their own. Sometimes I agree with others. Sometimes I disagree. Trustee Joseph and I, we usually carry on a good conversation. We've gone at it in years past and put the gloves on and everything else. Each person represents who they are. But it's something we need to move forward with on this program. I understand times are tough for some people, but it's giving you 5 years to pay for it interest-free. Several years ago, quite a few years ago, over 10, I was involved in a special assessment district in my street, and you had quite a few years to pay it back, but it was also 7% interest. So, 0 interest for 5 years. I understand it's rough, but it breaks it up for you folks. So, so if you don't care for the way I voted, I understand you have that right. But that's the way I look at the issue. I've been born and raised in this township. I've been here almost 63 years. So thank you for coming. Thank you for your opinions, and have a good night.
Trustee Vosberg.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I'm glad we passed this program tonight. One of the things that has not changed over the years is that homeowners are responsible for replacement of the sidewalks. When they aren't in good shape, they need to be repaired. I think we're just helping each other as a good community to make sure that the sidewalks that we do have are safe. And I am well aware that I don't have a sidewalk in front of my house, but there are other expenses that I do have without having sidewalks. But that is the house we chose to live in. Likewise, other people chose to live in a house with sidewalks. It's just part of our community. It's the diversity of our community. Thank you.
Treasurer Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. So I have, as I stated earlier, I am one of the folks that did get the letter, and I also will be working with Jeremy so that we have a much better letter going out, and with some clarity, and I hope that you'll let me take a look at that before it goes out. So, and I want to thank every single person for, you know, voicing your concerns, asking questions, and as Trustee Demink mentioned, I hope that you got those questions answered. If you did not, please stop by and talk to Jeremy, Mitch, and Ellen. Ellen has broken down also what that yearly cost would be. So she has a list like this, her and I both do. If you have any questions, you're welcome to email or call either of us and we'll help you out. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Clearly, I'm passionate about this job, and I have been from the day I walked in the door. I would urge the members here, or the people here, residents here, if you really want a good picture, and I'm not defending my behavior tonight. I'm not defending, I'm not proud of that. But if you really want a good picture, watch the meetings from the last 4 years. We've had about 110 of them together with the former board and this board. And if you really take a peek at those meetings, some are long, you can go to the public comment piece. There's a lot of built up anxiety. I give this talk a lot to aspiring public servants, especially if you are going to be an elected public servant. Started my career down this path in 2002 in the state legislature, and I am in my second term here. There's asks, and there are asks from other elected officials, from leaders in the community, and from residents. And they come daily, weekly, and by the dozens. Our job is to help solve problems, troubleshoot solutions, explore all options, and research everything possible and get it done if we can. Some of the issues we've tackled: police funding. We were unsustainable. We fixed it. We have a sustainable police public safety model with surpluses. Weber Paddle Park was stalled. We got that done. Jefferson Road Bridge, Brandenburg Shoreline, COVID vaccination site was an ask. The budget process, Highway Division for police, water rates are asked to be lowered. Please lower my taxes. I got a list of 50 things, and the frustration is on the majority of these items. We start this together as a board, but then we lose. We lose the same members. Yes, apply for the grant for Weber Paddle Park. No, don't build it. Yes, commit us to a shoreline restoration project. No, don't build it. Yes, get involved with the re-gravel program. No, don't re-gravel the roads. Yes, do an SAD so we can help fix the roads someone else's asks. No, don't do it. So my frustration here led from that October 27th meeting. And we had 6 members. We had a very good conversation on this program. It was very clear what it was. And again, I had a yes to fulfill this option, just like the 50 behind it. The cell tower, the nature center, the golf course that we're looking to preserve. I'm sure it'll be the rec center, Seville Manor, which I got a veterans facility there. Yes, pursue that. No, when it comes time to actually build it and make sure it gets built right. So the frustration is real, and the frustration will never stop when I don't have when I don't have what I would consider a legitimate conversation and board member up here. The next item is adjournment. The next board meeting is May 25th, 2020 at 7 PM. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion by trustee Anderson, support by trustee Demink to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by saying nay.